My boyfriend's mom tried to destroy my life by calling me a gold digger and bribing me to leave him, so I burned her world to the ground. 2 years later, she's asking me to fix her relationship with her kids. My boyfriend was born into third-generational wealth. Meanwhile, I grew up in Tent City on Skid Row. I still don't know who my parents are or what they look like, but with the help of a few right turns in life, I managed to work my way up at a door-to-door sales job and rent my first apartment. My boyfriend was actually the first one to approach me in my local Starbucks. He smelled like Tom Ford cologne, wore an expensive suit, gold watch, very put together. I honestly expected us not to get along because of how obviously different our backgrounds were, but we yapped for almost an hour straight, and he even made me laugh. Not the forced smile laugh, but a real wholesome one. After that, we went on more dates, and I slowly found myself falling in love. I tried to savor every moment we shared, because I assumed when I told him about my upbringing and my lack of formal education, he would instantly turn his nose, but he didn't. Wow, so you really worked your way up. You know, that's really impressive. I didn't detect any hint of untruthfulness or entitlement in his voice. Instantly, my walls went down. I was ready to marry that man. From there, I started accepting his invites to his lavish parties and high society events. It was like a whole new world. Parents were genuinely stressing about whether they should pay for their kids to attend Yale or Harvard. Others were discussing the pros and cons of going to Santorini or the Canary Islands for summer. I knew that none of them would even be able to fathom the fact that I practically spent my entire childhood daydreaming about having enough food to eat, debating whether I should skip lunch or if I should skip dinner. Needless to say, I had no contribution to their discussions until the topic of politics came up. There was a very heated conversation going on at the other end of the table. Suddenly, the woman very loudly exclaimed, "Ugh, public schools shouldn't even exist. If you can't afford real education, then I don't see why you should even be allowed to be part of society." And instead of anyone calling her out on her BS, they started nodding their heads like it was the most reasonable opinion in the world, like it was something they had discussed hundreds of times before. I just bit my tongue. But then my boyfriend's mom said, "Right, like if you can't afford food, maybe that's nature's way of saying you shouldn't be here." I took a deep breath and said, "I mean, these are all great points, but don't you think some people just need extra help getting back on their feet?" The entire table went silent. I even heard a few audible gasps. My boyfriend looked wide-eyed and extremely shocked. I twirled my peas around my plate with my fork. "But I mean, still, the poor should be kissing our feet and thanking us for all we do for them," I said, trying to save myself from being noticed as an outsider. Everyone immediately broke back into clamor about how much they hated anyone who wasn't them. I really thought it was a good save, until I excused myself to the bathroom and closed the stall door. That's when my boyfriend's mother and sister walked in. "Did you hear what William's girlfriend said?" "Ugh, don't get me started," his mom replied. "He had warned us that she was from the gutter, but I didn't know she was an educated peasant too. I hope he realizes that she's nothing but a poverty project soon and dumps her." I stopped listening after that. I still don't know if they knew I was in the stall, but I was humiliated. As soon as they left, I called for an Uber home. The last thing I wanted was to face his family again, but I didn't break up with my boyfriend. In fact, I never told William about what I'd heard. Instead, I strengthened our relationship. I got closer with his family, and with the help of nights filled with whiskey and white wine, they truly believed that they could tell me anything. I wasn't even sure what I was looking for. I just thought I'd know it when I saw it, and one day I did. I was with his mom in the living room when she started bitching about William's sister. "She's a disappointment to the bloodline. I have to take Xanaxes just to deal with the fact she came out of me." My ears immediately perked up. Meanwhile, she covered her mouth like she had just said a bad word. "Oh gosh, I didn't mean to say that. Please, don't worry," I exclaimed. "Your secret is safe with me." But it wasn't Lowell. The next time I was over, I went into her bathroom and found the capsules in their medicine cabinet. I then replaced them all with almost identical-looking vitamin C capsules. I wasn't sure what would happen, but I was more than ready to find out. Well, a few weeks later, William's sister held a dinner party. I had honestly forgotten about the pills until the meal came, because while his sister was eating dinner, her mom tweaked out. "Stop rubbing your effing fork against the plate, you fat effing pig." The entire table went silent. I just smirked, knowing I had won, or I thought I did anyway, because I later found out there were cameras in the bathroom the whole time, and it wasn't long before he taught me exactly what secrets rich people are hiding. I was at William's place the next day when his mom called him. He answered on speaker, not thinking anything of it. I heard her voice immediately. "William, we need to talk about your girlfriend." My stomach dropped. William looked confused. "What about her?" His mom's voice got all sweet and fake. "Oh, honey, I just think you should know what kind of person she really is." I tried to keep my face neutral while my heart was racing. William's mom told him to check the family security app. Apparently, they had cameras throughout their mansion, including in the hallways outside the bathrooms that could see who entered and exited. I felt sick. William pulled up the app on his phone, and there I was, clear as day, entering his mother's private bathroom where no guest would normally go. His face went from confused to shocked to angry in about 3 seconds. "What the hell is this?" he asked me. I didn't know what to say. How do you explain to someone that you tampered with their mom's medication because she called you a poverty project? I tried to explain what I'd overheard in the bathroom that night, but William was already pacing around the room. "Do you know how dangerous that is? She could have had serious withdrawal symptoms. What were you thinking?" I grabbed my purse and left without another word. I spent the next 3 days in my apartment ignoring his calls and texts. On day 4, there was a knock at my door. I figured it was William coming to officially break up with me. Instead, it was his sister Madison. I almost shut the door in her face, but she stuck her foot in the doorway. "Can we talk?" she asked. I let her in because honestly, I was curious. Madison sat awkwardly on my IKEA couch that probably cost less than her shoes. "So, my mom told everyone what you did," she started. "Great, just what I needed. But here's the thing," Madison continued, lowering her voice. "I don't think you were wrong." That caught me off guard. Madison explained that her mom had been emotionally abusive to her for years. The disappointment to the bloodline comment was just the tip of the iceberg. She'd been called fat, stupid, worthless her entire life. When her mom had that outburst at dinner, it was the first time anyone had ever seen how she really treated Madison behind closed doors. "I know what you did was messed up," Madison said, "but in a weird way, you exposed something that needed to be exposed." She took a deep breath. "And I want to help you get back at her properly. I was suspicious at first. This could easily be a trap." But Madison seemed sincere, and honestly, I had nothing left to lose. William had texted me that morning saying we needed to talk, which everyone knows is code for "I'm breaking up with you." So I agreed to hear Madison out. Her plan was simple but brilliant. Their family had a huge charity gala coming up next weekend. All the richest families in the city would be there. Madison suggested I show up as her +1 and confront her mom publicly about how she really felt about poor people. The ultimate embarrassment for someone who cared so much about appearances. "But won't William be there?" I asked. Madison nodded. "That's part of the plan. He needs to see who our mother really is too." She explained that William had always been the golden child, sheltered from their mom's true nature. He had no idea how cruel she could be. I wasn't sure if I should trust Madison, but something in her eyes told me she was being honest. We spent the next few days planning our approach. Madison even took me shopping for a dress that would help me blend in with the crowd. Nothing too flashy, but expensive enough that I wouldn't stand out as the poverty project. The night of the gala arrived faster than I expected. I got ready at Madison's apartment, which was separate from the family mansion. She did my makeup and helped me with my hair. For the first time since the med incident, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this would work out after all. We arrived at the venue, a fancy hotel ballroom with crystal chandeliers and champagne fountains. I spotted William immediately, standing next to his mom in a tuxedo. He looked good, which made my heart hurt a little. His mom was wearing a red designer gown and fake laughing at something an older gentleman had said. "Ready?" Madison whispered. I nodded, even though my legs felt like jelly. We made our entrance, and I watched as William's mom's face transformed from social smile to absolute horror when she saw me. William looked equally shocked, but there was something else in his expression too. Relief? Hope? I couldn't tell. Before his mom could make a scene, Madison guided me through the crowd, introducing me to various family friends and business associates. I smiled and made small talk, all while feeling William's mom's eyes burning into my back. The confrontation was coming, and we all knew it. I finally got my chance when Madison and I were getting drinks at the bar. William's mom, Vivian, approached us with 2 other women in tow. They all had that same pinched look rich people get when they're about to be nasty, but want to seem polite. "Madison, darling," Vivian said, completely ignoring me. "I didn't realize you were bringing a guest tonight." Her voice dripped with fake sweetness. Madison took a sip of her champagne. "Mom, you remember my friend, William's girlfriend?" Vivian's eyes finally landed on me, scanning me up and down like I was something stuck to her shoe. "Ex-girlfriend, I believe." After that little stunt with my medication, I felt my face getting hot. Several people nearby were obviously listening while pretending not to. Madison nudged me slightly, our signal to stay calm. "Actually," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I wanted to apologize for that. It was immature and potentially dangerous." Vivian looked surprised. She clearly wasn't expecting an apology. Before she could respond, I continued. "I was just so upset after hearing you call me a poverty project in the bathroom that day. It really hurt my feelings." The women with Vivian gasped. One of them, a blonde with too much Botox, whispered loudly, "Did she just say that?" Vivian's face went from smug to panicked in seconds. "I never said such a thing." "Madison, are you going to let this girl spread lies about me at my own event?" Madison shrugged. "I don't know, Mom. You've said worse about me." The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. I spotted William making his way toward us through the crowd. Great timing. Vivian saw him too and immediately tried to regain control of the situation. "William, thank goodness. Please escort your ex-girlfriend out. She's causing a scene." William looked between his mom, Madison, and me. I could tell he was confused. "What's going on?" Before anyone could answer, the blonde woman chimed in. "Your mother's being accused of calling your girlfriend a poverty project. Is that true, Vivian?" William's eyes widened. He turned to his mom. "Did you really say that?" Vivian laughed nervously. "Of course not. This girl is clearly disturbed. First she tampers with my medication. Now she's making up lies." I felt my chance slipping away. This wasn't going according to plan. Vivian was too good at manipulating situations. I looked at Madison for help, but she seemed just as stuck as I was. Then I remembered something. I pulled out my phone and opened my voice memos. Actually, I have proof. Everyone went quiet as I hit play. The recording was from the bathroom that day. Clear as day, you could hear Vivian's voice. He had warned us that she was from the gutter, but I didn't know she was an educated peasant too. I hope he realizes that she's nothing but a poverty project soon and dumps her. I'd recorded it while sitting in the stall, not even sure why at the time. Just instinct, I guess. The look on Vivian's face was priceless. William looked like someone had punched him in the gut. "You recorded me in a private bathroom?" Vivian sputtered, trying to flip the script. "That's illegal. Not in this state," Madison said coolly. "Single-party consent." The blonde woman and her friend were already backing away, murmuring excuses about needing refills. Vivian was left standing there, exposed. William put his hand on my arm. "Can we talk?" spoke. Privately, I nodded, and we stepped away from the group. Madison gave me a subtle thumbs up as we left. William led me to a quiet corner of the ballroom. I had no idea she said those things. He started. I'm so sorry. I shrugged. It's not your fault. But it kind of is, he insisted. I brought you into this world without preparing you for how cruel it can be. And when my mom showed me that video of you going into her bathroom, I should have asked why instead of just getting angry. I felt a weight lifting off my chest. He wasn't mad anymore. So, you understand why I did it? William ran a hand through his hair. I don't approve of the method, but yeah, I get it. My mom can be difficult. Difficult is putting it mildly, I said. She's been horrible to Madison for years. William looked surprised. What do you mean? I realized he truly didn't know. Your sister and I have been talking. Your mom treats her like garbage, William. Always has. He looked over at Madison, who was now standing alone at the bar, watching us. I knew they didn't get along, but I thought it was just normal mother-daughter stuff. I was about to respond when I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around to find Vivian standing there, her face a mask of calm, but her eyes were burning with rage. I'd like to speak with you, she said, alone. William stepped between us. Mom, I don't think that's a good idea right now. Vivian's fake smile didn't waver. It's fine, darling. Just girl talk. We'll be right back. Against my better judgment, I agreed to go with her. What was she going to do? Push me down the stairs at her own charity gala. We walked to a small anteroom off the main ballroom. As soon as the door closed behind us, Vivian's smile disappeared. Listen to me very carefully, she hissed. I don't know what game you think you're playing, but it ends now. You are not welcome in this family. I stood my ground. That's not really up to you, is it? It's William's choice. Vivian laughed, a cold, cruel sound. Oh, sweetie, you really don't get it, do you? William will always choose family. Always. He might be infatuated with your little rags to riches story now, but eventually, he'll remember where he belongs. I felt my confidence wavering. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was just kidding myself thinking I could ever fit into William's world. Vivian must have seen the doubt on my face because she pressed her advantage. I'll make you a deal. Walk away now, and I'll give you $50,000. Cash, no strings attached. I blinked in surprise. You're trying to buy me off? I'm offering you an opportunity, she corrected. More money than you'd make in years at whatever job you have. All you have to do is disappear from my son's life. I was speechless. The audacity of this woman was unbelievable. Before I could respond, the door opened and Madison walked in. Everything okay in here? She asked, eyeing her mother suspiciously. Vivian's demeanor changed instantly. Just having a heart-to-heart with your friend. Madison didn't buy it for a second. Well, William's looking for both of you. The speeches are about to start. Vivian straightened her dress. We'll continue this conversation later, she told me quietly before sweeping out of the room. As soon as she was gone, Madison turned to me. What did she say? I told her about the bribe. Madison wasn't even surprised. Classic mom move. She tried to pay off my college boyfriend too. We rejoined the party just as the speeches were beginning. William found us and put his arm around my waist. It felt good, reassuring, but I couldn't stop thinking about what Vivian had said. Would he really always choose his family in the end? The first speaker was some old guy talking about the charity's accomplishments over the past year. I wasn't really listening until I heard William's name called. He squeezed my hand before walking up to the podium. I had no idea he was going to speak. Thank you all for coming tonight, he began. This foundation has always been close to my heart because it represents what I believe is the best of humanity, helping those who need it most. I saw Vivian beaming proudly from her table near the front. The irony wasn't lost on me. Recently, I've been reminded of how important it is to not just donate money, but to truly understand the struggles of those less fortunate than ourselves, William continued. My girlfriend, he looked directly at me, has taught me more about resilience and determination than anyone I've ever met. Vivian's smile froze on her face. This clearly wasn't the speech she was expecting. She grew up with nothing, in circumstances most of us in this room can't even imagine. And yet, through her own hard work and perseverance, she built a life for herself. No connections, no safety net, no family wealth to fall back on. The room was silent. I felt dozens of eyes on me, but I only cared about Williams. He was looking at me with such admiration that I almost started crying. That's why I'm announcing a new initiative tonight. The foundation will be partnering with organizations that work directly with homeless youth, providing not just temporary shelter, but education and job training programs. The crowd applauded politely, but I could see Vivian whispering frantically to the man beside her, probably William's dad. She looked furious. William wrapped up his speech and returned to my side. What did you think? He asked quietly. It was amazing, I said honestly, but your mom looks like she's about to explode. He glanced over at Vivian, who was now heading our way with determined strides. Yeah, I didn't exactly clear this with the board first. Vivian reached us, her smile so tight it looked painful. William, darling, what a surprise. We should discuss this new initiative before making any public announcements. Already done, Mom. Dad approved it last week. Vivian's eye twitched. Your father didn't mention anything to me. William shrugged. Must have slipped his mind. I could tell this was a power play I wasn't fully understanding, but it was clear William had just outmaneuvered his mother somehow. Vivian turned her attention to me. I hope you didn't put him up to this, she said, her voice low. Before I could defend myself, William stepped in. Actually, Mom, you did. Your comments about people who can't afford food not deserving to exist got me thinking about my own privilege. Vivian looked like she'd been slapped. She opened her mouth to respond, but was interrupted by the arrival of William's father, a tall man with silver hair and William's same kind eyes. Wonderful speech, son, he said, clapping William on the shoulder. Your mother and I are very proud. He turned to me with a warm smile. And you must be the inspiration behind it all. all. I've heard so much about you. I shook his hand, surprised by his friendliness. Nice to meet you, Mr. Harrison. Please, call me Robert. He looked genuinely pleased to meet me, which was a stark contrast to Vivian's obvious disdain. Vivian tried to regain control of the conversation. Robert, did you know about this new initiative? Robert nodded. Of course, dear. William and I have been discussing it for weeks. It's a wonderful addition to our charitable work. The look on Vivian's face was priceless. She'd been completely sidelined, and she knew it. Madison joined our little group, champagne in hand. Great speech, bro, she said, raising her glass to William. Mom, you look tense. Maybe you should take one of your pills. I nearly choked on my drink. Madison winked at me while Vivian glared at her daughter. I'm perfectly fine, Vivian said through gritted teeth, though I do have a bit of a headache, if you'll excuse me. She walked away stiffly, leaving the four of us standing there. Robert looked between Madison, William, and me with a curious expression. I feel like I'm missing something, he said. Madison laughed. Just the usual family drama, Dad. Nothing new. The rest of the evening went surprisingly well. Robert was genuinely interested in hearing about my background and how I'd managed to support myself. Unlike Vivian, he didn't seem to judge me for where I came from. William stayed by my side the whole night, introducing me to people as my girlfriend with obvious pride. By the time we left, I was feeling pretty good about how things had turned out. William and I went back to his place, and for the first time in days, I felt like maybe we had a future after all. That feeling lasted exactly until the next morning, when I woke up to my phone blowing up with notifications. Someone had anonymously sent my juvenile record to a local gossip blog. I had a few minor shoplifting charges from when I was a teenager trying to survive on the streets. Nothing violent, nothing serious, and all of it sealed when I turned 18. But there it was, splashed all over the internet for everyone to see. The article made it sound like I was some kind of hardened criminal. The worst part was the headline, Harrison Air Dating Skid Row Thief. I knew immediately who was behind it. Vivian wasn't going to let me win that easily. William was still asleep beside me. I slipped out of bed and went to the kitchen to make coffee, my mind racing. This was bad, really bad. I worked in sales, and my clients were mostly wealthy people who definitely read gossip blogs. This could ruin my career, not just my relationship. I was so lost in thought that I didn't hear William come into the kitchen until he spoke. Morning, he said, yawning. You're up early. I handed him my phone without a word. He read the article, his expression darkening with each swipe. My mother, he said. It wasn't a question. I nodded. Has to be. William put the phone down and pulled me into a hug. I'm so sorry. I'll handle this. How? I asked, my voice muffled against his chest. It's already out there. Trust me, he said, pulling back to look me in the eyes. This isn't the first time my family has had to deal with unwanted publicity. He made a few calls while I sat at the kitchen counter, feeling sick. The first was to his lawyer, who promised to send cease and desist letters to the blog and any other outlets that picked up the story. The second call was to his dad, who sounded equally angry about the situation. The third call was to Madison. Mom did what? I heard her exclaim through the phone. That's low, even for her. After he hung up, William sat beside me at the counter. Madison's going to confront Mom. She thinks she can get her to admit she did it. I wasn't so sure. Your mom is pretty careful. I doubt she left a paper trail. William took my hand. Don't worry, we'll figure this out. But I was worried. This was exactly what Vivian wanted, to show William that I wasn't worth the trouble, that being with me would only bring scandal and embarrassment to his family. And maybe she was right. Maybe we should take a break, I suggested, the words painful to say. Just until this blows over. William looked shocked. Is that what you want? No, I admitted, but I don't want to cause problems for you either. He shook his head firmly. That's exactly what my mother wants. She's trying to drive us apart, and I'm not going to let her. Before I could respond, William's phone rang. It was Madison. He put it on speaker. You're not going to believe this, she said without preamble. I found the receipts. Mom hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on you. She was talking to me now. She paid him $5,000 to find anything he could use against you. My jaw dropped. How did you find that out? I have access to her email, Madison said casually. Have for years. It's how I survive in this family. William looked stunned. Send me everything, he told his sister, and don't let Mom know you found it. After they hung up, William turned to me with a determined expression. This ends now. He called his dad again and explained what Madison had found. I could hear Robert's angry voice through the phone. Bring the evidence to the house. Now. An hour later, we were sitting in the massive living room of the Harrison family mansion. Robert and William were on one couch, Madison and I on another. Vivian sat alone in an armchair, looking like a queen on her throne despite being clearly outnumbered. This is ridiculous, she said after William explained why we were there. I did no such thing. Madison pulled out her tablet and pulled up the emails. Really, Mom? Because here's your correspondence with Blackwell Investigations, and here's the payment confirmation from your personal account. Vivian's face went pale, but she recovered quickly. I was simply doing my due diligence. Any mother would want to know who her son is involved with. By illegally obtaining sealed juvenile records? Robert asked, his voice dangerously quiet. And leaking them to the press? That's not due diligence, Vivian. That's criminal. Vivian scoffed. Oh, please, it's hardly criminal to protect our family from an obvious gold digger. I'd had enough. I never asked William for money. Not once. I have my own job, my own apartment, my own life. The only person obsessed with your family's money is you. The room went silent. Vivian stared at me with naked hatred. How dare you speak to me that way in my own home? Our home, Robert corrected. And she's right, Vivian. This vendetta against William's girlfriend stops now. Vivian turned to her husband, clearly not used to him standing up to her. You can't be serious. She's completely inappropriate for William. She grew up in a tent, for God's sake. And despite that, she's shown more class and dignity than you have, Robert replied calmly. I'm disappointed in you, Vivian. This isn't how we raised our children to behave. Vivian looked to William for support, but he just shook his head. You tried to bribe her to leave me. You exposed her private past to humiliate her. What did you think would happen, Mom? That I'd thank you? I was protecting you, Vivian insisted. You're too naive to see what she's really after. Madison rolled her eyes. Give it up, Mom. You lost. Vivian stood up abruptly. This is absurd. I'm not going to sit here and be attacked in my own home. She looked at me with pure venom. This isn't over. As she stormed out of the room, Robert sighed heavily. I apologize for my wife's behavior. She's set in her ways. That's one way to put it, Madison muttered. Robert turned to me with a kind smile. I want you to know that you are welcome in this family, regardless of what Vivian says. William clearly cares for you deeply, and that's good enough for me. I was touched by his words, but still worried. Thank you, but I don't want to cause problems between you and your wife. Robert waved his hand dismissively. Vivian and I have been having problems for years. This is nothing new. He stood up and straightened his sweater. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to make some calls to contain this situation. After he left, Madison, William, and I sat in silence for a moment. Finally, Madison spoke up. Well, that was fun. Same time next week? We all laughed, breaking the tension. William moved to sit beside me, taking my hand in his. I'm sorry about all of this, he said. My mom can be a complete nightmare, Madison suggested. William smiled ruefully. I was going to say difficult, but yeah, that works too. I squeezed his hand. It's okay. Every family has drama. Madison snorted. Not like ours, they don't. We spent the rest of the day at the mansion, strategizing how to handle the fallout from the article. Robert's lawyers were already on it, threatening legal action against the blog if they didn't take the story down. Madison was monitoring social media to see how far the story had spread. Not very, thankfully. By evening, the original article had been removed, and only a few screenshots remained floating around. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than I'd expected. William drove me home, both of us exhausted from the day's events. Stay with me tonight? I asked as we pulled up to my apartment building. It felt small and shabby compared to the Harrison mansion, but it was mine, and I'd worked hard for it. William smiled. I thought you'd never ask. As we walked up to my apartment, I felt a strange sense of peace. Vivian had thrown her best shot at me, and I was still standing. With William, Madison, and even Robert on my side, maybe I could actually win this war after all. As we walked up to my apartment, I felt a strange sense of peace. Vivian had thrown her best shot at me, and I was still standing. With William, Madison, and even Robert on my side, maybe I could actually win this war after all. The next morning, I woke up to William making coffee in my tiny kitchen. It was weird seeing him there in his expensive pajama pants, using my cheap coffee maker, but also kinda nice. He handed me a mug and sat next to me on the bed. So, I've been thinking, he said, looking serious. Maybe we should move in together. I nearly choked on my coffee. What? Where did that come from? He shrugged like it was no big deal. Well, my lease is up next month anyway, and after everything that happened with my mom, I think it makes sense to have our own space. I wasn't sure how to respond. Part of me was thrilled he wanted to take that step, but another part was terrified. Moving in together was a big deal, and with his mom still on the warpath, it felt risky. Let me think about it? I asked. William nodded and kissed my forehead before heading to the shower. I was still mulling it over when my phone buzzed with a text from Madison. SOS. Mom's gone nuclear. Call me. My stomach dropped. I called her immediately, and she picked up on the first ring. What happened? I asked, already dreading the answer. Madison sounded stressed. Mom's telling everyone you're a con artist who's been arrested multiple times. She's calling all of William's friends, business contacts, everyone. Dad tried to stop her, but she's on a mission. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Great. Just great. There's more, Madison continued. She's hosting a dinner party tonight and inviting several of William's ex-girlfriends. She's hoping to create an awkward situation that might make him reconsider your relationship. Who's coming? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. Mostly society girls from families Mom approves of, Madison explained, including Ashley, who William dated seriously in college. Mom always loved her because her family has connections she values. Perfect. Just what I needed. Competition from William's ex. William came out of the bathroom, towel around his waist, and saw my face. What's wrong? He asked. I put the phone on speaker and had Madison repeat everything. William's expression hardened as he listened. We're not going to that dinner, he said firmly when she finished. Actually, I said slowly, an idea forming. I think we should. Both William and Madison went quiet. Then Madison started laughing. Oh my God, you're insane. I love it. William looked less convinced. Are you sure? My mom will try to humiliate you. I nodded. Exactly. And when she does, she'll show everyone exactly who she really is. We spent the rest of the morning planning our approach. Madison would be our inside person, keeping us updated on Vivian's plans. William called his dad to make sure he'd be there too. I picked out my nicest dress. Nothing fancy by their standards, but it was the best I had. Around noon, I got a call from my boss. My stomach sank when I saw his name on my phone. I answered, trying to sound normal. Hey Gary, what's up? His voice was tight. We need to talk about some concerning information I received about your background. And there it was. Vivian had gotten to my job. I took a deep breath and explained the situation. The juvenile record that was supposed to be sealed, my boyfriend's vindictive mom, all of it. Gary was quiet for a long time. Look, he finally said, I don't care about what happened when you were a kid. You're one of my best salespeople, but I can't have clients calling me about this. I understand, I said, my heart sinking. Am I fired? No, Gary said, but I'm moving you to inside sales for now. No client-facing work until this blows over. It wasn't ideal, deal, but it was better than losing my job completely. I thanked him and hung up, feeling a mix of relief and anger. William had overheard enough to figure out what happened. I'll pay your salary until you can go back to your regular position, he offered. I shook my head firmly. Number, that's exactly what your mom wants, for me to become financially dependent on you. I'll figure it out. William looked like he wanted to argue but thought better of it. You're right, I'm sorry. As evening approached, my nerves started getting the best of me. What if this backfired? What if William saw Ashley and realized what he was missing? What if Vivian had some other trick up her sleeve I wasn't prepared for? Madison texted updates throughout the day. Mom's wearing her power red dress. Dad looks miserable. Ashley just arrived wearing Chanel. Each message made my anxiety worse. William must have sensed it because he took my hands in his as we sat in his car outside his parents' house. We don't have to do this. We can turn around right now. I shook my head. No, I want to. I'm just nervous. Remember, he said, no matter what happens in there, I choose you. Not Ashley, not my mom's approval. You. Those words gave me the courage I needed. We walked into the house hand in hand, and I immediately felt every eye on us. The foyer was filled with people in expensive clothes holding champagne flutes. Madison appeared at my side like a guardian angel. Brace yourself, she whispered. Mom's been telling everyone you're after the family fortune. Great. I spotted Vivian across the room, holding court in her red dress. She saw us and smiled that fake smile of hers before making her way over. William, so glad you could make it. She air-kissed his cheek before turning to me with barely concealed disdain. And you brought her. Good evening, Mrs. Harrison, I said politely. Lovely party. She ignored me completely and turned back to William. Ashley's here. She's been asking about you. William's grip on my hand tightened. That's nice, Mom, but I'm here with my girlfriend. Vivian's smile didn't waver. Of course, dear. I just thought you might want to say hello to an old friend. Before William could respond, a stunning blonde woman approached our group. She was wearing a dress that probably cost more than my car and had the confident air of someone who'd never worried about money a day in her life. William, she exclaimed, leaning in to kiss his cheek. It's been ages. William gave her an awkward half hug. Ashley, hi, this is my girlfriend. I stuck out my hand. Nice to meet you. Ashley looked at my hand like I'd offered her a dead fish but shook it briefly. Charmed, I'm sure. Vivian's told me so much about you. I bet she had. All good things, I hope, I said with a smile I didn't feel. Ashley laughed like I'd said something hilarious. Oh, you're funny. William always did like girls with a sense of humor. Vivian beamed at Ashley like a proud mother. Ashley just got back from Paris. She's been studying art history at the Sorbonne. How fascinating, I said, trying to sound interested. I've never been to Paris. No, I don't imagine you have, Vivian said with fake sympathy. International travel can be so expensive. Madison, who'd been quiet until now, jumped in. Mom, didn't Dad want to talk to you about something in the kitchen? Vivian waved her hand dismissively. It can wait. I'm catching up with William and Ashley. Actually, Madison insisted. He said it was urgent. Something about the caterer? With an annoyed sigh, Vivian excused herself, leaving us with Ashley. As soon as she was gone, Ashley's perfect smile faltered. This is awkward, she said, taking a large sip of champagne. Just so you know, I had no idea Vivian was trying to set us up again. I'm actually engaged. She flashed a massive diamond ring that had definitely been hiding in her palm earlier. William looked relieved. Congratulations, Ashley. That's great news. Ashley nodded. Thanks. My fiancé couldn't make it tonight, but Vivian was so insistent that I come. She lowered her voice. Between us, I think she's still hoping I'll dump him and get back with you. I couldn't help but laugh. Wow, she really doesn't give up, does she? Ashley gave me a genuine smile this time. No, she really doesn't. Good luck with that. She raised her glass in a little toast before wandering off to talk to someone else. William looked at me with an apologetic expression. I'm sorry about that. I shrugged. Not your fault. And honestly, she seems nice enough. She is, William agreed. We just wanted different things. She wanted to travel the world and study art. I wanted to stay here and work with my dad. Madison rejoined us, looking pleased with herself. Mom's thoroughly distracted. Dad's giving her hell about trying to set you up with Ashley. The dinner itself was a tense affair. I was seated between William and an older gentleman who kept asking me questions about my interesting background. Every time I answered, Vivian would chime in with some backhanded comment. Oh, you grew up in Los Angeles? Such a shame about all the homelessness there. Door-to-door sales? How resourceful of you. I kept my cool, answering politely and not taking the bait. William squeezed my knee under the table whenever his mom said something particularly awful. Madison kept making faces at me from across the table that made it hard not to laugh. The real drama started during dessert. Vivian stood up to make a toast, champagne flute in hand. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. Family is so important to me, and I consider all of you family. Her gaze landed on me. Well, almost all of you. The table went quiet. Robert cleared his throat. Vivian, she ignored him. I've always wanted the best for my children. The best schools, the best opportunities, the best partners. Another pointed look at me. And while some people might think love conquers all, in my experience, compatibility matters. Similar backgrounds, similar values. I felt my face getting hot. William started to stand up, but I put my hand on his arm to stop him. This was my battle. Mrs. Harrison, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Can I ask you something? Vivian looked surprised that I'd spoken up. I suppose. What exactly are you afraid of? That I'll take William's money? That I'll embarrass you at parties? Or is it just that I remind you that your wealth isn't actually a reflection of your worth as a person? The table went dead silent. Vivian's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Before she could respond, Robert stood up. I think that's an excellent question, Vivian. What exactly is your objection to William's girlfriend? Because from where I sit, it? She's shown more grace under pressure than you have. Vivian's face turned almost as red as her dress. I'm trying to protect our family. From what? William asked. From someone who worked hard and overcame incredible obstacles? Someone who treats people with kindness regardless of their bank account? Because those sound like exactly the values you claim to have raised us with. Madison slow clapped. Preach, brother. One of the dinner guests, an older woman I hadn't met, nodded in agreement. Vivian, dear, the girl has a point. You're being rather horrible. Others at the table started murmuring in agreement. Vivian looked around, clearly not expecting her friends to turn on her. Her eyes landed on Ashley, seeking an ally. Ashley, you understand, don't you? William needs someone from our world. Ashley shifted uncomfortably. Actually, Vivian, my fiancé grew up on a farm in Nebraska. His parents still live there, and he's the kindest, most hardworking man I've ever met. Vivian looked like she'd been slapped. She turned to Robert, who just shook his head sadly. Enough, Vivian. You've embarrassed yourself and this family enough. Vivian's eyes filled with tears, but they looked more like anger than sadness. She threw her napkin on the table and stormed out of the dining room. The awkward silence that followed was broken by Robert standing up. Please, everyone, enjoy your dessert. I apologize for the entertainment. People gradually went back to their conversations, though I could feel curious glances being thrown my way. William took my hand under the table. You okay? He whispered. I nodded, though my heart was still racing. Yeah, I think I am. After dinner, people started to leave. Many of them stopped to introduce themselves to me properly, some even apologizing for Vivian's behavior. Robert pulled me aside as William was saying goodbye to some family friends. I want you to know, he said quietly, that I meant what I said. Vivian doesn't speak for this family. Thank you, I said, genuinely touched. That means a lot. He smiled sadly. Vivian wasn't always like this. Success changed her, made her forget where we came from. He looked at William across the room. Don't let him forget, will you? I promised I wouldn't. As we were leaving, Madison hugged me tightly. You're my hero, she whispered. No one's ever stood up to Mom like that. In the car on the way back to my place, William was quiet. I started to worry that maybe I'd gone too far, embarrassed him too much. Are you mad? I finally asked. He looked surprised. Mad? God, no. I'm in awe of you. He took my hand. You stood your ground against one of the most intimidating women I know, and you did it with class. I've never been prouder to be with someone. Relief washed over me. So, about that moving in together thing, William grinned. Yeah, I think we should do it, but not at your place or mine. Somewhere new. A fresh start. We found a place the following weekend. Nothing fancy, but nice enough, with big windows and a small balcony. William's mom didn't speak to either of us for months. She skipped our housewarming party, which was actually a relief. Madison came, bringing expensive champagne and cheap pizza, which pretty much summed up our new life together. Eventually, Vivian started making small efforts. A birthday card here, a Christmas invitation there. I think seeing that William was serious about me finally made her realize she needed to adapt or risk losing her son completely. Things weren't perfect. They probably never would be with Vivian. But we'd reached a kind of truce. And the best part? My job promoted me 6 months later to senior sales manager. No help from William needed. Sometimes I still think about that first dinner at William's parents' house, when his mom said poor people shouldn't exist. I think about how far I've come from that tent on Skid Row, and I think about how William saw me, really saw me, when his family could only see where I came from. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I do know this. No matter how rich or poor you are, what really matters is who stands beside you when the world tries to tear you down.